Welcome, climate viewers. This is Jim Lee from ClimateViewer News at climateviewer.com. And Tennessee bans chemtrails. David Keith abandons the SCoPEx geoengineering project. And discussing them chemtrails and contrails with a 30-year pilot, Graham Hood, coming up Monday. Lots of stuff to talk about, that and more in just a second. Thanks for the follow. I normally just, do all my streaming and stuff on YouTube, but many of you know that I'm now on the Rumble, the BitChute, the Odyssey, all the other things. So if you want to come over and subscribe to my things, please do. You can go to connect.climateviewer.com and, hit that subscribe button. Follow me on all my social media or support this work. I greatly appreciate it. So here we are, and here it is. Everybody's talking about it. Yes, I got a notification the second it happened, but hey, I got to wait till on the weekend to actually talk about things. Tennessee Senate passes bill based on chemtrail conspiracy theory. Now, of course, this is the way, the mainstream rags are going to report it. And according to this here, the Tennessee Senate has passed a bill targeting chemtrails. Now, let's be realistic. It doesn't actually say that anywhere in the bill. And it's a amendment to a Clean Air Act kind of bill in Tennessee. Regardless, let's just read the propaganda, and then we're going to read exactly what's in the bill, and then we're going to say why this is probably a fail. I'm not, just a preface, I'm not here to, tell you what you want to hear. I'm not here to make myself popular. I'm here because I believe the world is full of bull crap and I need to sort it out. And I think that a lot of people come to my content so that they can better understand Realville. So today we're going to deal with Realville, and probably going to get some hate just for the David Key stuff I'm going to say, but I don't care. You know what I mean? The truth is the truth is the truth. And I will be proven right over time, 99.7% of the time. That being said, I hit the wrong button again. This SB 2691, that's state bill, and then House Bill 2063, sponsored by Representative Monty Fritts, R. Kingston, and Senator Steve Southerland, and Representative Morrison, passed the Senate on Monday. The bill has yet to advance in the House. So for those who are already saying that they've already passed a bill and that it is law, it's not law yet. It's passed the Senate. Now it goes to the House. We'll get into it in a minute, but the next hearing is going to be on the 27th, which is 3 days from now. So they haven't officially passed this yet. But anyway, hopefully somebody will notice this video and try to change it before, the ship sinks. Anyway, the bill claims that it has documented the federal government or other entities acting on the federal government's behalf or at the federal government's request may conduct geoengineering experiments by intentionally dispersing chemicals into the atmosphere, and those activities may occur within the state of Tennessee, according to the bill. The legislation would ban the practice in Tennessee. The intentional injection, release, or dispersion by any means of chemical compounds, substances, or apparatus within the borders of the state into the atmosphere with the express purpose, focus in on, the language matters here, with the express purpose of affecting temperature, weather, or intensity of sunlight is prohibited. Okay. And then they go on to say, here's what we know about chemtrails. Chemtrails are not a thing, and all these freaking people say so, and it's just contrails, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So if we look over here, and all the links are already in the details, I give you guys the receipts. It'd be stupid otherwise. I never really got people who talk about things and then don't actually give links to the things. It's like, how do you benefit from that? But anyway, all the links are already there. And what it basically says is Amendment 1 rewrites the bill to prohibit the intentional injection, release, or blah, 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 with the express purpose of blah, blah, blah. All right. Now we're back in Realville. Chat, you let me know. If it's a bill to prohibit the intentional injection of chemicals to affect weather, temperature, or intensity of sunlight, then that would ban intentional geoengineering, weather modification. It would not ban chemtrails. Period. In a story. I don't care how you see this. You have to look at it from, the legalese side of things. So how are you going to make the argument when Delta Airlines or United Arab Emirates Airlines or Southwest or JetBlue, I don't even know if JetBlue's still around. Doesn't matter. When a plane is flying overhead and, this law is on the books. Let's say the House goes ahead and passes it and it becomes the law of the land in Tennessee. How do they go and look at a plane flying overhead and say that plane is intentionally spraying chemicals for the express purpose of affecting temperature, weather, or intensity of sunlight? Explain to me how this is a chemtrail ban at all. Mark Smith says, don't trust Jim. Just do your research and try to prove him wrong. I fully agree with Mark Smith. Please attempt to prove me wrong. And in fact, Mark, if you're effective at it, I will have you on this show. I have had an open invitation for over a decade to anybody. And when I mean anybody, I mean anybody from the president of the United States to the president of Harvard or PhD, or you don't have to have any of that stuff. If you think you can come on this show and prove to me I'm wrong, Jim@ClimateViewer.com. I will set that shit up because I love when people come in thinking they know more about this topic than me or drop stupid comments in the chat. But he is right. I do encourage everybody, don't take my word for it. Now, if logic and reason leads you towards believing what I'm saying, I still say do your own due diligence. Don't take my word for it. Go to ClimateViewer.com, go to the Weather Modification History Timeline, go to the newspaper vault, go to geoengineeringwatch.org or com or whatever. I think it's org. Go read and watch everything he says. Go to zerogeoengineering.com, go to beheroic.com, check out Renette Senham, look at what J. Marvin Herndon's doing. I want people to, keep your mind open to everything. But at the same time, don't just take my word for it. You know what I mean? But I'm just going to tell you my perspective based on my research. This is my opinion, and my opinions are based in facts. So that's where I'm going with this. So to the naysayers, haters, and, or longtime climate viewers, how do you enforce a law that's supposedly a chemtrail ban that if it's specifically saying that it prohibits the intentional injection of chemicals for the purpose for the express purpose, meaning the only purpose, the chemicals have to be intentionally sprayed, and they have to be for the express purpose of affecting temperature, weather, or blocking sunlight. How do you prove that Delta Airlines is doing that? When Delta Airlines is putting out poisonous chemicals, which do make clouds, which block out the sun. So this law does have an effect on, let's say, Weather Modification Incorporated, Northwest Weather Modification, all of these companies that are involved in cloud seeding. It affects any attempts to do geoengineering experiments. So solar radiation management, stratospheric aerosol injection. You could not do that if this law becomes law of the land in Tennessee. Except if you don't know that all the laws behind it, and you know what? I don't even have this link up. I'm going to bring this link up right now because I think it's kind of important. Once again, hitting the wrong side of the screen. We're going to go to ClimateViewer.com. I'm just going to bring this up real quick because I don't think most people understand any of these laws. And I'll drop this in chat for everybody. So scrolling down the page, and we're going to go to why are my fact sheets? There they are. Laws. So this is weather modification laws in the United States of America. And these also pertain to geoengineering. And when you look at things like, the Weather Warfare Ban of 1978, the Space Preservation Act never happened, but the Weather Modification Reporting Act of 1972 and the Weather Modification Policy Act of 1976, excuse me. I got a pollen problem. Spring coming early. And then I go into all of the individual state laws on weather modification. They're all here. So like, every one that I've been able to find. Hell, there was a representative in Washington that had a team of lawyers looking and could not find these laws in the state of Washington. And I'm like, but they're on my page. So anyway, if you haven't read any of this stuff, don't come at me sideways out your mouth telling me that, that this is not a thing, let's see, did everybody get that? I don't know if that popped up in the chats and all the things, or if I have to individually click the different types. Oh, it looks like it did. All right. Well, anyway, there's the link to all of the weather modification laws in the United States, and those also pertain to geoengineering. And what you will realize is that the federal government does not care if a state decides that a federal government, a federally backed weather modification experiment or geoengineering experiment violates their rights. So even if the federal government decides they want to do a geoengineering experiment, guess what? This law means that checking in with Representative Kaku. We need to have you on the show, dude. You can come on and argue with me. That's Dave from Echoplex. The laws don't, the federal laws do not. Basically, if you read the federal laws, they don't give a damn about the states banning weather modification activities, because most states have licensing boards and stuff like that, like the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation. Even though there are federal laws that say, like the Weather Modification Reporting Act of 1972, you have to notify NOAA if you're going to modify the weather. Well, guess what? You also, in the state of Texas, have to get a license from the government of Texas. And at the same time, the federal government does not have to notify NOAA and does not have to notify the states, and the states would have to prove through FOIAs that the government was doing it, and then the government would just take it to federal court and say, look, we got a right to do this for national security concerns because we've declared climate change a national security threat. So back to my point. This law would not stop the United States federal government, which our, duly elected half-dead president, put out the solar radiation modification report that they cite in testimony at these House hearings. If those of you who don't know about it, haven't seen it, it kind of looks like this. Joe Biden and his White House put out a solar radiation modification 5-year plan, and they're holding this up in the testimony, basically saying, hey, well, the Biden administration wants to do geoengineering studies, so we need to ban that in Tennessee to stop them. My God, I swear my nose wasn't running until I started this damn microphone. So the point I'm trying to make here is this law will do very little to actually change what everybody refers to as chemtrails. Whether you think it's a chemtrail or a contrail, it does not matter. When you go and you point at the plane that's making plane farts, that's making clouds, and then you call that geoengineering, what are the people in Tennessee supposed to do? You just play this mind game with me. So now, all of a sudden, a Tennessee representative is going to say, hey, I got a complaint. We passed this freaking chemtrail ban. And now, somebody said they saw a plane over Tennessee that was geoengineering. And now I need to go and verify this. So we tracked the flight. This is the flight number. Were you guys intentionally geoengineering? They're going to go, no, we were flying people from here to there. And what are you going to do about it? So, I mean, I don't understand the mindset of people when they try to, when they word things these ways, because short of actually, saying to the Air National Guard in Tennessee, you need to fly up there. I've got that P90, dude. It's a P900. 83 times optical zoom. You can actually read the freaking call sign numbers on the plane with that damn camera. But regardless, let's say you identify the plane. What are you going to do? Get the Air National Guard from, Tennessee to fly up there and commandeer a plane and say, land your chemtrail plane right now, goddammit. Me and Alex Jones told us that you need to ground that damn flight so that we can get in there and see them damn tailpipes, baby. We want to see them chemtrail pumps, baby. And we're gonna take all you from the Illuminati cabal and we're gonna burn in hell because we got a law. It's not gonna work. It's just not gonna work. I mean, at the end of the day, once you throw the intentional word in there, I said this on Del Bigtree's show on the Hot Wire, that the entire chemtrail conspiracy comes down to a single word, and that is intent. And what do I see in this bill? Prohibits the intentional injection of blah, 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 blah to do for the express purpose of blah, 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 blah. So, but God damn it, Jim, that they're depopulating the whole fucking planet. And if you don't understand that, then you're part of the problem. You're a fucking shill, Jim. You're an actor. I don't even know why you're on this goddamn YouTube. The fact that you're even on YouTube proves to me beyond a shadow of a doubt that you are a shill. It is clear to everybody. I don't even know why you're doing this. You're gonna burn in hell too. Maybe it's true. Maybe it's true. But the point is, you still have to go, how do I prove that plane is intentionally, air quotes, intentionally geoengineering? You have to be able to prove these things. So now you got that intentional word in there for the express purpose of affecting temperature, weather, and intensity of sunlight. So planes make clouds. That freaking affects the intensity of sunlight. We all can agree on that. We all can agree on that. Okay. But how do you prove that Delta Airlines or let's say UPS is flying overhead, delivering a bunch of shit from Amazon, and it's shitting on the sky, it's blocking out the sun. Now you're going to tell me that you can prove, hold on, you know what? Let's do this. Right there. Contrail burn up quick. Do not linger in sky. Okay. We're back to semantics. You know what? I actually think that's a great point, because what they'll say is, well, these are contrails, and they'll go, everybody in Tennessee is going to go to their representative and say, but you passed this chemtrail ban. Those aren't contrails. They're blocking out the sun. I mean, we can see them. If they were contrails, they would melt away. And then they'll go, they're persistent contrails. And of course, everybody in the chemtrail community will go, persistent contrails aren't a thing. It means contrails that linger around and spread out. Okay, fine. Let's not call them persistent contrails, because that tends to piss people off. Let's call them cirrus clouds, artificial cirrus clouds. They're contrail-induced cirrus clouds. So what it is it's a contrail that stuck around, hung out, and became a cirrus cloud. Now it's neither a chemtrail or a contrail. It's a cirrus cloud. Why people cannot understand this, I do not know. I've been trying to figure. I just saw a pretty funny video. Somebody dropped this in my Telegram chat. No amount of evidence will ever convince an idiot. Oh my God! If you want to hear a funny song, watch it. Just go to YouTube and look up "No amount of evidence will ever convince an idiot." The whole video is about 5G, but regardless, it's priceless. It totally fits here. I would play it. I'm probably going to get permission from the guy to play it because it's that damn good. And then redo the whole background for chemtrail stuff. But anyway, my point is this. Cirrus clouds matter. That when planes make cirrus clouds, that's a problem. Even if planes don't make cirrus clouds, there is still metals in exhaust which are poisonous. Okay? Period. End of story. This bill will not stop chemtrails unless you're Dane bred and you believe that high bypass turbofan jet engines cannot create cirrus clouds, cannot create contrails like Dane Wigington and Russ Tanner have been promulgating for years. It's still on the front page of Geoengineering Watch. And if that's where you're at, hey, you're going to be there a long time, because guess what? That ain't science, bro. That ain't science. Now, at the same time, could the CIA be, up there flying in unmarked planes? You got to prove it too. And again, let's take the Tennessee Act for instance. We have spotted an unmarked plane that does not have their ADS-B transponder on. It's not responding to squawks. We've located it with our P90 Nikon camera. I should go get mine and show you guys it. Everybody, if you're a chemtrail person at all, you should own one of these things, because it's pretty priceless. Get yourself a nice tripod, and you can actually look at it yourself, and you can go track the plane in real time and know what the hell you're actually looking at. Let's say you find a plane and it's dumping crap all over your sky, and it has no markings on it whatsoever, and it's not showing up on flight radar, sky glass, or ADS-B exchange. Okay. Now, that plane is flying over your house right now. What are you going to do? Is there going to be a hotline in Tennessee where you can call them real quick and say, yo, bro, there's Farmer David, shut the hell up about Herndon with coal fly ash right now. Like, still zero fucking evidence that coal fly ash is being sprayed out of planes. Zero. None. Niente. Of course, Jim Lee is just a fucking shill, and he wants to just put J. Marvin Herndon down and the hard work of Dane Wigington. I mean, that's what all shills do. Fucking COINTELPRO scum, commie scum. Maybe that's the case. Maybe that's the case. I don't think so. Like, prove it to me. Prove it to me. Come at me, bro. Just saying. I have not seen any evidence whatsoever. Not in in-flight testing, not in any kind of scientific work, not in any kind of test that coal fly ash is in the air. But guess what is black carbon? And black carbon is soot. And soot is what water sticks to make freaking plane farts turn into cirrus clouds. And that's the end of the story there. You know, the Alex Jones impression is great for clearing the throat, I must add. Just saying. Using coal fly ash for off-grid crypto mining. Maybe. I don't know about that. I really don't know about that. But anyway, in the links, you guys can come over and you can watch the whole thing. If you come to, this is the state bill as SB and HB is the House bill. You can actually click right here, hit video, and you can see this is March 6th, this is March 18th. If you click like right here, it'll actually pop it up in a window.
Seconded amendments, Mr. Clerk.
And thing will pop up.
By the Senate Energy Committee.
Senator Southerland, amendment number 1.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Amendment number 1 rewrites the bill to prohibit the intentional injection, release, or dispersion of chemicals, chemical compounds, substances, or apparatus into the borders of Tennessee into the atmosphere with the express purpose of affecting temperature, weather, or intensity of sunlight. Move for adoption.
Questions or discussion?
That baby's adopted, baby.
Objection to the question. All in favor of the question, say aye. I'm sorry, all in favor of the amendment, say aye. Opposed, nay. You adopt amendment number 1. On the bill as amended.
Done, son, as we say in the South. Done, son.
Objection.
So you can watch the whole thing there. That the old man yelling about cloud. You know, blocking. You know the thing, man. The thing. You know. Ooh, I can touch it. I can touch it with my finger. Feels kind of warm. Kind of like when people used to touch my forelegs and stroke my blonde hair. Oh, yeah, that's good stuff. At the end of the day, you know, I don't know what it is with the people that are trying to pass these laws, but they're not thinking about it pragmatically. They don't understand geoengineering. They don't understand the international laws, let alone the federal laws that supersede their state laws. They don't understand proof and proving intent. You don't understand that when you have planes flying overhead, spewing out chemicals and making clouds, that proving they intentionally are making clouds for the express purpose of blocking sunlight, when the guy flying the plane is going to be like, yo, dog, I was just like, man, I got all these Amazon packages and you people keep ordering them. So, like, I mean, we just got to, you know, like, I was just flying these Amazon packages to this place. So, like, my intent was to deliver some Amazon packages, yo. That's all I'm trying to do up here. Chemtrails, that shit ain't real, man. I'm not doing no chemtrail. What are you even talking about, man? So I don't think people, you know, really ever think about things very deeply. I think about this stuff a lot. And, you know, my opinion on it has changed very much since when I first, you know, initially did my view of the whole internet, you know, 20,000 foot view. Oh, well, everybody's looking for aluminum and barium. That's all I used to hear. You know, a decade ago, it was aluminum, barium, and chemtrails. And guess what? I went, well, the aluminum and barium is in the jet fuel and the lubricants that are in the jet engine. Hey, everybody, I found the aluminum and barium, and nobody cared. Went and testified to the EPA. I told the EPA, hey, we don't care about greenhouse gas emissions coming out of planes. We care about metals, metal particulates, and cloud creation. Planes making clouds. That's what we care about. I mean, that seems to be what everybody's bitching about online. Why don't you do something about that? And the dude from the NGO Sierra Club comes over to me and he says, I say to him, what'd you think about that? The whole cloud thing. And he's like, oh, that's pure poppycock. And Max Bliss literally had to grab me because I was like, yeah, I'll pop your ass right in the cock. Anyway, I don't like that word. My wife used that word the other day and I was like, really? Really? Anyway, I guess we're on to the next thing. You can, take it or leave it. My opinion is this is another bust. Following the Rhode Island bust, following the New Hampshire bust. Don't know what the hell's going on with the South Dakota attempt to ban geoengineering. But in my personal opinion, everybody's doing it wrong. And of course I would say that because I'm always right. So I'm going to do my own version to try to make things right. When I do come up with that draft legislation, I will make a video about it, let you guys know, and it will be free to download. And not only will it be a draft legislation that you can hand to your representative that doesn't have loopholes like intentionally or for the express purpose, and includes pollution from aircraft creating clouds and how that affects human health and all of the above, with an add-on, an addendum that has an index of all of the scientific references proving every claim in the draft legislation, so that whenever you go to submit this before a science and science committee at your house briefing, you can go and they say, well, how do you know that this affects human health? How do we know what metals are coming out of these? It's in the freaking index. It's in the addendum, index B. All the references are there. Have your people look at, have your people call my people and, work it out. That way, at least the policymakers are informed. The people who are trying to get the laws are passed are informed. Everybody's on the same page. There's no wiggle room in it. There's a possibility of doing that. And on to everybody's favorite punching bag, David Keith. So David Keith, he's had this thing called the Stratospheric Controlled Perturbation Experiment. He's been trying to launch this balloon since 2019. He failed. And finally, David Keith jumps ship, leaves Harvard to go teach at the University of Chicago. And Frank Koich, the guy who was basically the head of the SCoPEx geoengineering experiment, he said, screw it, I'm done, son. We're done here. Let me clear my throat. So, David Keith and Frank Koich are done with SCoPEx. The principal investigator, Harvard researcher Frank Koich, is no longer pursuing the experiment. For those who don't know what SCoPEx is, click the link right here on Substack. This is climateviewer.substack.com. Links in the details. Might as well send it to you now if you're hanging out in the live chat. Bookmark it, read it, send it to your friends, have a little giggle, and then wait for it. I'm going to tell you why this is also a bad thing. You got to be able, if you cannot, in debate, if you cannot take the opposite of your opinion and argue it just as strongly as your belief, you don't understand the argument well enough. So I'm going to play devil's advocate on this one as well. So David Keith didn't like it, hated it. His stratospheric controlled perturbation experiment over here on weather modification history, which the .com will be back very soon. I'm moving all of the weather modification history timeline and newspapers back to weathermodificationhistory.com. I know it was stupid for me to do it, but Doesn't matter. A whole bunch of people want it back. So I'm going to take it back off ClimateViewer.com, put it back over there. Anyway, enough about me. This was David Keith's experiment. It's called the Stratocruiser Flight System, SCoPEx. They were going to float a balloon up, spray a bunch of calcium carbonate up in the atmosphere, and, it had a drop down probe. So it would spray chemicals up here and then have a little sniffer down here. And this is what they planned on doing. It was called the Stratocruiser. It's actually named after a Bill Gates Intellectual Ventures, Nathan Myhrvold, the patent troll project called the Strato Shield. And I could show you guys some stuff on that. But anyway, so this is the whole SCoPEx program. This is the Strato Shield. If you want to see that, the Strato Shield was from intellectualventureslab.com, which they've taken down all this stuff. I still have all the archive.org links to all this, but they literally wanted to just run a pipe from like a warehouse like this up into the air and have a blimp at the top that could then directly pump the chemicals into the stratosphere. No planes involved. Just a hose to the sky, blocking your sunlight by pumping chemicals into the stratosphere. So that's where the name Strato Shield and Stratocruiser, and the fact that David Keith and Harvard Solar Geoengineering program, all the above, are funded by Bill Gates. It's not a coincidence, okay? But anyway, this thing's deader than a doornail, and it's not coming back. And here's why that is a good and a bad thing. So according to Frank Koch, the field of solar radiation management has undergone a significant transformation in the last few years, expanding the community and opening new doors for research and collaboration. He added, I felt it was time to focus on other innovative research avenues and in the incredibly important field of solar radiation management that promise impactful results. Though Harvard Solar Geoengineering Research Program has ended SCoPEx, they will continue the program focusing on other endeavors. Like the university noted, that the program will continue to explore the many dimensions of the issue, including the science and engineering, governance, and political and social implications. Social implications, you mean like people losing their freaking minds online about chemtrails and wanting to shoot down planes or praying that they crash into each other? Yes, that's a thing. That's crazy. So could you imagine what people are going to do if they ever legalize geoengineering and do intentional spraying like they're talking about here? That. So anyway, David Keith moved on to teaching the youth at the University of Chicago. Keith will lead the new Climate Systems Engineering Initiative, which will explore multiple such strategies, including methods to reflect sunlight away from the Earth, ranging from injecting particles into the stratosphere to using ocean salt crystals to brighten low-lying clouds. That's called marine cloud brightening. Other strategies could include ways to remove carbon from the atmosphere and more localized interventions such as protecting glaciers. Put a blanket on it. I don't know. But what this is really about is the death of transparency. And that's the way I see it. To many, David Keith is the face of an evil. Let's ask Alex, because Alex would, Alex, could you please step up and explain to everybody? David Keith is the face of the evil cabal hell-bent on blocking out the sun. David Keith is the face of evil. I see you, David Keith, you demon boy, sun-blocking demon boy. You're going straight to hell. David Keith, demon bitch. Anyway, however, what separates Keith from many other geoengineering scientists was his insistence on that transparency matters. I emailed Dr. Keith and asked him if he would support my addendum to the ENMOD Treaty, the Environmental Modification Accountability Act. His response, Dr. David Keith, December 29, 2017. I think the public notice makes sense because I think transparency is very important for building trust. I think 48 hours is much too short a period. I think a longer period is makes sense to enable public comment on experiments. Obviously, one challenge is to define what constitutes an experiment. Most sensor networks are already have public data access. Happy to lobby for more public access. Yours, David, via email. Now, you can go over to ClimateViewer.com and actually see that page, where all of this stuff is at, my draft legislation to update NMOD, gaining support where Dr. James Roger Fleming, on video when I interviewed him, he supported my NMOD at AA. David Keith, even Ken Caldera said that he would be all for having more transparency. And Dr. Renaud de Richter, I interviewed him as well, another geoengineering scientist. They all said, hey, the bottom line is we need transparency. So I don't disagree with what you're proposing here. And what I was saying was, at a minimum, you need to tell us before you modify the atmosphere. If you're going to do cloud seeding, 48-hour notice. If you're going to do a geoengineering experiment, you need to tell people like a year or two beforehand, so that all the people like us who really hate the idea, should really, have a say so. I mean, it gives us an opportunity to go, guess what? We don't want this. Well, that's exactly what happened. So David Keith not only said that, he actually did that. And guess what it led to? David Keith attempted to launch the SCoPEx from Tucson, Arizona, and then from Kiruna, Sweden, and was stopped both times by pressure from the ETC group. And you can look all this stuff up. The Hands Off Mother Earth Manifesto, a permanent ban on geoengineering, where they got 110 civil societies to sign off on a thing to basically say, hey, stop David Keith from launching his balloon. So he did inform the public ahead of time. He failed. You know what? But this does lead to a problem, because other geoengineers are going to look at David Keith trying to be transparent with his SCoPEx experiment, and they're going to say, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't tell the public, because they're going to come for my ass. Back to the ETC group. The ETC group has not only stopped David Keith twice, they also stopped the UK SPICE project, which was the Stratospheric Particle for Injection for Climate Engineering experiment back in 2010. So the ETC group is three for three stopping geoengineering experiments. I mean, they're killing it. They're three. ETC group 3, geoengineers 0. So this is, probably a pretty chilling thing to the people who want to block out the sun come hell or high water. David Keith, he does own a stake in carbon engineering, which is CO2 sequestration. It's not something I really bitch about on this channel, because, creating a bunch of fans to suck CO2 out of the air and then pump it into the ground isn't really going to affect me, what I breathe in, or, the rainfall patterns worldwide. So I don't really focus on CO2 sequestration as much as I do solar radiation management. And even solar radiation management can mean stuff like painting your rooftop white. Okay? So specifically, dumping chemicals into the stratosphere or upper atmosphere to block sunlight, or space-based solutions like putting a graphene, shield in space between us and the sun to block sunlight. All of that stuff, blocking sunlight from reaching the ground, should be illegal, should not be studied, will kill people. I am firmly in that camp. Firmly. Back to the David Keith thing. So from the article, and I got an archive for this too. This is from actually MIT Technology Review. Gernot Wagner, a climate economist at Columbia Business School and former executive, I don't give a damn who he is, former director of Harvard Solar Geoengineering Research Program, said in an email that the cancellation of the project was unfortunate as it had taken on a larger significance in the field. He stressed that the effort widening the operating space for other younger researchers to look into this important topic. In addition, by publishing the plans in a peer-reviewed journal and operating transparently, the group set the standard of sorts for responsible research in this area. Responsible researchers deciding not to conduct this kind of research, which I'd be actually happy about, meanwhile gives ample room for irresponsible actors of all sorts of crazy ideas. So that's kind of what I've been warning about with, these other programs like Israel's stealth geoengineering project, Spice Project 2010. Shut down, ETC group, EPs. They didn't even call it a geoengineering experiment. Got off without a hitch. Nobody even noticed it. Haida Salmon Restoration Project, Ocean Iron fertilization. Oh, they excoriated the guy. Russ George is a rogue geoengineer. David Key SCoPEx shut down. And at the time I wrote, but still trying. I literally wrote this just the other, like last week. So just shows you how fast things happen. Anyway, so all of that happened. Great Barrier Reef Restoration Project, marine cloud brightening going on right now. Why ask permission when you can ask forgiveness? Ain't that the way it worked? And they're shooting their sea salt spray. I covered this about 2 years ago on my YouTube channel if you want to watch the video. Make sunsets. Andrew Song and Luke Eisman, they're just throwing balloons in the sky now. Taking people's money and claiming they're saving the planet by geoengineering. This is what he's talking about by irresponsible actors just doing whatever they want. And then Andrew Lockley, who launched Satan, the stratospheric aerosol transport and nucleation, he did his experiments and he was so pissed off that somebody leaked it to the press that he was like, leakers be damned. I've tried to follow the straight and narrow path and wait for judgment. He's actually British, but I do a terrible British accent. Maybe I should work on that. Anyway, I've tried to walk a straight. Fuck it. I'm Southern. I can't do I could do Alex Jones because, it's pretty easy for a Southerner and somebody who was in a death metal band and who likes to sing Pantera. It just comes naturally. You just have to summon up your inner Pantera, and Alex Jones just flows. But anyway, he says that I've tried to follow the straight and narrow path and wait for judgment day of peer review, but it appears a colleague has been led astray by diabolical temptation. Motherfucker named his program Satan. And he's making all these, analogs to burning in hell and all this. There's a special place in hell for those who leak their colleagues' work, tormented by ever-burning sulfur. So this is the way of the future. Stealth geoengineering. That's why Harvard's like, you know what? Let's wrap a bow on this, the SCoPEx thing. We've thrown enough money at it. Every time we've tried to launch it and tell the public we're going to launch it, the ETC group comes along with Geoengineering Monitor and all of their cronies, and they shut it down. Meanwhile, Andrew Lockley's just like, you know what? I'm going to fill up a balloon. I'm just going to send it up and do an experiment. And we'll wait till other scientists read about it before we ever admit to it. And Israel's Stardust Solutions, they're doing they plan on spraying chemicals in the upper atmosphere to block sunlight. And they're not going to tell anybody about it. And you go to, his LinkedIn page, and what does it say? CEO and co-founder of a stealth startup. What is a stealth startup? A company that operates in stealth mode, i.e. avoids public attention. This is the main problem. So, yes, David Keith has left the Harvard program. He may still be a part of that, but SCoPEx has come to an end. Frank Coich, he officially ended it. David Keith is now indoctrinating the youth at the University of Chicago to get the next generation working on geoengineering projects of their own. And all of the projects that have happened recently have happened without public notice, without any input, informed input from the public. So they don't care what you have to say anymore. That's the bottom line. Stealth geoengineering. That's why I wrote it last week. And sure enough, here we go. David Keith's out. SCoPEx is gone. So much for transparency. But that's the way things go. So read all about it. The rest of it's up on ClimateViewer.substack.com. And the article is titled David Keith's SCoPEx Geoengineering Program is Dead. And that is both a good and a bad thing. Not like I actually wanted to see him do it, but the fact I was hoping he would try longer. You know what I mean? Because every time he tried and he got his ass kicked, I enjoyed that part of it, But now it's like, oh, damn, he quit. Now I'm just going to deal with these crazy people and have to catch them in the act, without them ever admitting to it, which makes it harder for all of us. Which brings me to my last thing. So, after the Del Bigtree interview, obviously a lot of people reached out to me to do some interviews. One of which is a pilot for approximately 30 years named Graham Hood. If you have not heard of him, over here on Facebook, link's already in the details. It's Graham Hood, former pilot on Facebook.com. He put up this video, and I'm going to be doing an interview with him tomorrow, actually. So tomorrow, live on his Facebook page will be, and I don't know if he's actually already posted something about it, when that's going to happen. But we've got it scheduled for tomorrow at 7 p.m. I don't know if he's going to record it and then upload it afterwards, or if it's going to be live as we do it, but that remains to be seen. Anyway, I'm going to play a little bit of this real quick, and you guys just tell me what you think. Jesus, that's
Hi everyone, it's Hoodie with a special presentation. I'm doing this one on my own tonight without Johnny, because this has really been my issue all along, and I need to do this as I've been requested by so many people to discuss this particular issue. Now, the issue I'm about to discuss is chemtrails. And the reason I'm doing this now is because some really disturbing things have been happening online, and I can't let it go any longer without really saying what I have to say. Christian people on various social media platforms are calling on others to pray for aircraft in the sky to collide or have a malfunction and fall out of the sky. Aircraft leaving trails in the sky. Now, this is just going beyond a joke, and it needs to be sorted out. And I'm going to actually guide you, hopefully, into a different way of thinking, not because I'm controlled opposition or I used to be a pilot and I signed a disclosure agreement. I haven't been paid off. This is about truth, and everything that I've done and John's done with me in the last 4 years has been about truth. And are we in a freedom movement? Are we in a truth movement? Please tell me, because a lot of people are only interested in hearing affirmation of their own truth. So what I'm about to say tonight is going to put a few things straight. A couple of months ago, I interviewed Dane Wigington from Geoengineeringwatch.org. Why did I do it? Well, ever since I came out and people knew I was an airline pilot, I've been castigated, questioned, jeered at, abused, because I flew aeroplanes that left trails in the sky, and I was accused of spraying chemtrails. I have never sprayed a chemtrail in my life. but so much concern about it and so many questions being asked at every public gathering I went to, I decided I needed to touch bases with Dane Wigington to try and work with him to find out what's really going on so I can be more informed and in that way help you to become more informed. Now, before I go any further, I want to make this really clear. I have not come into this fight about chemtrails or any other issue. We have made it repeatedly clear, John and I, that we came into this fight for 5 things. Keep the borders open, end the mandates, protect the children from compulsory vaccination, get everyone their jobs back with full compensation, and get a Royal Commission. They're the 5 things we came for, and they remain the 5 things that we're there for. Now, to that end, we're starting to have some success. Mandates are being rolled back, not as quickly as we would like, and we gave evidence last week in the Senate about the Royal Commission. So we're staying on our target. But I have been really concerned in the community of Unity too when I've been approached by elderly women, for example, who are too afraid to go out and hang their washing on the line when they see a trail in the sky. And recently I had an opportunity to present a demonstration by slideshow to some critical thinkers on a Zoom call around the world where I was a guest speaker, and they wanted me to tell them what was a condensation trail and how it was made. By the time I'd finished, they were all relieved. They all felt, wow, you've just explained something and we need to explain it. Now, for me to go on now, I'm about to do a slideshow just to explain some really basic stuff to you. What you do with the information I give you is completely up to you. I can understand everybody's skepticism. Boy, I've got loads of it myself. And talking to Captain Shane Murdoch from Virgin and Captain Derek Fox, the former chief pilot of Tiger, we've all discussed these issues. We all struggle with the narrative coming out of geoengineeringwatch.org because a lot of it doesn't make sense and a lot of it, honestly, is not factual. But having said that, when the 3 of us had a meeting about how to tackle this situation, we all agreed that anything's on the table now, having seen what we've seen in the last 3 or 4 years. We wouldn't put anything past anybody. So in line with the requests that I've had by the hundreds, I'm going to now present to you a very brief explanation of what you're seeing in the sky based on my experience and my knowledge, and hopefully you'll draw something from that. Some of you will get angry. Some of you will be relieved. It's entirely up to you. Your response is your response. But I tell you what, I feel like a doctor who's really diligent, let's say. And a gentleman has come to me and said, Doc, I'm here because I'm dying of cancer. How do you know you're dying of cancer?
This is
priceless. I
priceless.
looked it up on the internet. I'm dying of cancer. Okay, well, what symptoms have you got? I feel run down, depressed, anxious. I'm not well. All right, let's get a really good raft of tests done on you. And then when the tests are done, a week later, I call the man back and I say, I've got really good news for you. What's that? You don't have cancer. Your test came back clear. You're a liar. There's no way on earth that could be true. You're an absolute liar. How can I ever trust you? You're part of the cabal. That's what it's like, and it's been frustrating. I've been told by many, just go along with it. Don't rock the boat. Let everybody see that you're probably agreeing with them, and you'll get a bigger following. I don't care about a following. I'm only in this for truth. And if I can't stand in integrity, then I'm just going to get out of this. I'm not going to say things that people want to hear because they believe one thing and not another.
Amen to that. I'm not here for popularity. I'm not here to have my ass kissed. I don't care when people are like, oh, Jim, you're a genius. Oh my God, you're saving the planet. I just care about the truth. Not your truth. The truth. And I totally get where he's coming from.
I'll tell you, the fear narrative on both sides of the fence is equally destructive. So without further ado, I'm going to share screen and I'm going to take you through some basics. Then please stick with me because straight after that, I'm going to link in a video interview that Del Bigtree from the High Wire in America recently did with a guy who runs a website, a fantastic website called ClimateViewer.org. His name is Jim Lee. I watched the interview and I'm going to put it up here straight after I finish the slideshow. And this man is incredible. He has nailed it. He's done his science. He's not going down rabbit holes. He's laying it all out on the line. Now, I want you to watch right to the very end of his presentation with Del Bigtree, because when you think, oh, he's just,
Don't worry, I'm not going to play that whole video. I'm just playing his part, okay?
going along with the narrative, what he says in the last 15 minutes will rock your socks. And I want to tell you that everything he has put up in that interview convinced Del Bigtree and me exactly what we know to be true from my own experience. So bear with me now as I share screen. Also, we will be interviewing Jim Lee very early next week to discuss even more questions with him. So that's why I'm doing this promotion and this segment right now. Okay, so I've entitled this, What's Going On in Our Sky? What's going on in the sky? Now, I've done this at the request of hundreds of people who want me to tell what I know to be true. So here we go. This is an excerpt from an interview many of you watched. We were talking about the abolition of mask mandates in the USA. And the lady in the top left-hand screen, corner of your screen, is a wonderful lady called Megan. Now, Megan is a whistleblower who has whistleblower protection. She used to work in procurement.
He meant to say Kristen Megan, but anyway.
For the US Air Force. And she came out because her job was to procure chemicals that were being used in upper atmospheric testing by the US Air Force. Now, I put some questions to her and I want you to have a listen to her response, because this lady is a whistleblower who has been featured a lot and worked a lot with Dane Wigington from geoengineeringwatch.org. So let me show this to you. But let me ask you the one question, the one thorn in my side as a result of my professional career is that you've got to tell the truth about all the spraying you guys are doing up there. Now, I was a commercial airline pilot for 32 years and a pilot in aviation for 53 years. I have never sprayed anything in the upper atmosphere. And you guys are flying around all the time. You're always in aircraft. Do you think the aircraft that you fly, United, Delta, whatever, do you think that they're spraying chemicals?
I don't think so. I don't think it's involving commercial aircraft. And there are things called contrails, as you know, that's very real. Yep. We're talking about persistent, I don't like the term chemtrails. It's not, that's not it.
Yeah.
You know about military, do you know about military chaff? Like we, back in Vietnam, we flooded the Ho Chi Minh Trail. We can make it rain.
Now, the chaff is called electronic countermeasures, ECM. Chaff had nothing to do with making it rain in Operation Popeye in Vietnam. But she did. She said the C word and it wasn't chemtrails. Kristen Megan said there are contrails, persistent contrails. But Dane doesn't believe those are a real thing. Okay.
So there you have it. I cut it off there because she said basically what she's not only said this, but in the interview I did with Dane Wigington, he said on 5 occasions that this is not being done by commercial airline pilots or commercial staff. So let's make that very clear. Let's get that right out of our thinking, right there and then. Now, before I go to the next slide.
Now, how many people have heard that? How many people have heard Dane Wigington say that commercial flights, meaning passengers and, like I said, UPS, FedEx, people flying cargo around, that's commercial, meaning a company owns it. The commercial flights, passenger flights and shipping flights are not involved. Kristen Megan just said it. Said they're contrails, they're persistent contrails. According to Hoodie, Dane Wigington said it. They're not involved. Which doesn't jive with the front page of his website where he says planes cannot create contrails. Just saying.
I want to talk about the interview I did with Dane Wigington. I hope that it would be illuminating for you, and I wanted to be illuminated as well. I was prepared to look. I was prepared to listen. I was prepared to learn. Now, this slideshow that I'm about to present to you, I started to present on the interview with Dane, and we agreed that we would do it. I just wanted to explain what made up a condensation trail and then have him come back and we go into the conversation. During the interview, however, when I started running the presentation, he got very agitated. He wasn't happy. He wouldn't let me finish. It was really hard. It got very awkward. It started to get heated. And he was saying things that I completely and utterly, from my own knowledge, disagreed with because they were not true. Now, we cut out 33 minutes of that interview because it got to a stage where it wasn't productive. And he and I both wanted to stand on common ground. So we wanted to get past the chemtrail issue and get to weather modification where we could stand on common ground. And we did. We both agreed commercial pilots were not doing it from airline aircraft. And we both agreed that if the planet was needing redemption or healing, it should be allowed to do that for itself, just like we need to do with the human body as related to mandates. But I have to say this, Dane Wigington is charming. I actually like the guy. But I tell you what, I could not get a word in edgeways when it came to me presenting another view. He cut me off all the time. I was disappointed in that. And I also have to say, a lot of people are saying, oh, Hoodie's converted. He's come across now. He believes in chemtrails. Not in that context, I don't. I still don't. And I have to say this straight up, with all respect for Dane Wigington, that after that interview, I was left with more questions than answers, and I was really concerned. And I've been prepared to let it go and leave it as it is because it's just not worth the fight. It's taking John and I out of the fight that we're in, and that we're staying in our lane, and it's really important. The next few slides I'm going to show you relate to, I put them up because they relate to the presentations that were made in the movie The Dimming. I have watched The Dimming at least 15 times, front to back. I personally have real issues with about 70% of the so-called video and photographic evidence presented. Real issues.
70%. And that's where I was too. There is a lot of very deceptive editing, people calling things they are not. That's where I'm at with The Dimming. I'm on the same page as him. There's a lot of bullshit in that documentary. Doesn't mean the documentary is bullshit altogether, but there is a lot of bullshit in it, which makes me question everything. Once you lie about one thing, I have to question everything else you're saying. It's just the way I feel about it.
There are some things I can't explain. There's a picture of a couple of small pipes coming out the side of an engine pylon, a wing flap pylon on an Airbus A319.
Okay, so he mentions this Airbus A319, and I want to be real with you guys. So this is one of the most common, images. Like I get a lot of ballast tanks and stuff like that, but the one picture that he shows, and it's like, this is an aftermarket pipe that has been attached to the back of the pylon of the wing, and it's specifically for spraying chemtrails. I had to dig. I'm telling you, I dug hard for this. Now, this is not going to be in the details because I'm keeping this one close to my chest right now. Just saying. But I'm gonna bring this up for you guys real quick. Oh, what is this? All right, here we go. Let's dig in, shall we? So those pipes that he's showing in The Dimming, and I was like, man, this has got to be somewhere. Like, there's nothing that I can't find on the internet. And apparently this ain't easy to find because it took me a while. But here you go. Lufthansa technical training for the A319, which you just mentioned, A320 and A321. I'm going to do a search real quick for the word pylon drained. Check that guy out. Oh, check that guy out. That's a big dude. We call them mosquito hawks. Bruh, what you doing in my room? Flying around on my show. Bruh, I'm in the middle of something right now. Really. Anyway. Cowed him. So I looked this up, pylon drains, all right? Pylon, and then I type in space drain, and what do I see? Oh, what is that? What the hell is that? Is that the exact pipes that are in the video, the dimming? Those are the pylon drains they are talking about. Yes, they are. Pylon drains. Engine pylon is divided into 7 compartments. Various systems are routed through these areas. Any leakage from fluid lines is drained overboard through the separate lines in the rear of the pylon. Pylon drains are for leaking jet fuel or oil and all that. I could get into it more. It gets really technical. Technical tends to get lost on a lot of people, but regardless, there's several picture of the pylon drains and why they are there and why they exist. Pylon drains. Dane. Once again, wrong. Like the only photographic evidence he has in the entire film that people are in. This dude's a pilot. Hoodie is a fucking pilot, and he didn't know what it was. So, I mean, he saw it and he was like, this is the damnedest thing I've ever seen. You know? So I can understand that if the dude is a pilot and he's been flying for 30 years and he doesn't know this stuff, how the hell can, the average public know this stuff? And being able to find stuff like this and then actually know the terms to actually look for to even get to that point, it's kind of a tough one, bruh. That's all I can say. Matter of fact, this is also on Facebook. What is this? The 737 handbook. Water dripping from aft strut drain brought me to this question. Why is there sometimes a fuel leak reported in the engine start? In most cases, static fluid leakages come from components such as the hydromechanical unit, HMU, the high pressure turbine active clearance control, HTPACC, or the VBV VSV actuators due to the stationary position of the O-ring, blah, 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 blah. You can look up the AMM 710, which is exactly what I did. Engine vents and drain inspections on the 737. Same damn thing. Dawn Sight says, Mike Morales, Above Ground World News, friend of mine who passed away, showed the retrofitted inside of planes with barrels of chemicals. Those are called ballast tanks. Don, those are called ballast tanks. Ballast tanks. And there are, many of them. Let me do this for real quick. Ballast tanks. And you can see inside a test aircraft, ballast tanks. A peek inside the 747-8 test plane, ballast tanks. airteamimages.com, A350 ballast tanks. Airbus Industries, ballast tanks. Guess what? Any place that they test planes, water ballast high res photo stock images. These are called ballast tanks. They're used for flight testing. Inside the 777-9 at Paris Aviation Week. You click on it. That's where people get these photos from. They get them from flight testing pictures. And there's the picture right there. Why is it so damn small? It looks so big and so high res on the other picture just now. But they're called ballast tanks. I mean, look at that photo. That's much bigger. That's much higher resolution, damn it. I'm going to go open image in new tab. These are ballast tanks. They have water. They pump them around to try to throw the plane off. That people don't know this by now blows my freaking mind, bruh. Because you can literally scroll down here, and on most of these, I'll end up getting sent, for 10 years ago, people would send me these pictures, and then I would actually look up the serial numbers, or some of them even had patent numbers on them. And I'm like, okay, It's freaking water. They're water ballast tanks. And this is for testing flights. And those are all the computers up there doing the simulations and testing everything and actuating all the water flowing between them. And I didn't have the heart to tell my friend, you're wrong. Maybe, am I the asshole? Am I the asshole? Because Mike followed my channel for a very long time, learned about ship tracks from me, learned about bunker fuel from me, decided to make his own channel. Was doing a hell of a good job bringing attention to the topic. But then there was the, video he played at the end. Had a hell of a rock, track to it, and I loved it. But of course, he included photos like this. And I may have said to him one time that, dude, those are ballast tanks, and never got a response. But these are the kinds of things that are deceptive to people. They don't understand what they are. And back to what I was saying, even Hoodie, who's been a pilot, for former Qantas pilot who is one of the airline's longest serving workers, he's been flying for like 30 freaking years. And he didn't know what the hell this was, what those pipes were, that they were pylon drains. I'm not an airline expert. It took me a lot of searching to find out, because even I was like, I think Dane's got me on this one. This is the one that maybe, the straw that broke the camel's back, because I can't find shit on this until I did. Until I figured out the right terms to look up. And specifically, that it was an Airbus plane led me to the answer. So there's that. Anyway, back to the thing, because I need to wrap this up. I got to go to work tomorrow, guys.
We can't see what airline it is, or if it is an airline. I don't think it is. I think it's a scientific aircraft or another aircraft that's been built and repurposed for some kind of work, some other work. It may be spreading chemicals. I don't know.
It was a regular
for sure.
It was a regular Airbus plane, and it had pylon drains. That's what it was.
So when I go through this sequence of slides, I'm going to show you things that you think may be irrelevant, but they're not, because they come to the heart of the truth that's in the dimming, or the so-called truth in the dimming. I'm responding to things that I disagreed with. The way I look at it, if we trust somebody and they lie to us, and we know for a fact that they're lying, not somebody told us they lied, we know for a fact that they're lying, how can we trust them with any other thing? An example of this is when I'm being called controlled opposition or a Freemason. And I know that I'm none of those things. But at the same time, the person who said me that has been giving me other information that they want me to take seriously. How can I take it seriously? And when Dane Wigington was presenting stuff in the dimming and in the interview, I found that a lot of it was totally misconstrued, and it was misleading. And I'm not saying it was deliberately misleading. I think the man's very passionate, but this is what I've come to see.
I agree with that.
Me to go on further.
I think that Dane honestly believes that is the truth. I don't know why he believes it. Maybe it's ignorance. I hope it's ignorance. I would much rather hope that it's ignorance than think about how, something much more nefarious. But Dane is clearly ignorant on the fact that high bypass engines create contrails. It's on the front damn page of Geoengineering Watch. And it's been there every single day. And it's the number one freaking problem I have with him, is that he purveys this idea to people that why most modern jets are nearly incapable of producing condensation trails. And he got this idea from Russ Tanner. And when you look at it, the high bypass turbo jet engines, geoengineering, and the contrail lie. That is why people are so screwed when they go to try to pass these laws that we talked about at the beginning, because they believe this fundamental lie. I believed this lie to begin with. It took a lot of self, reflectance and, going, Okay, I was fucking wrong. I'm not too big in my britches to admit I was wrong.
Experience. I'm a licensed pilot of 53 years. I've had 32 years in command of a Qantas jet, 36,000 flying hours. There's not many people who've done that many flying hours in the world. I've carried 6 million people around 12 million miles. I've done 22,000 takeoffs and landings. And here's the one that I've highlighted. I have burned over 100,000 tons of kerosene in my career.
That is insane. This man, in just the flights that he's flown, has burned 100,000 tons. Bruh.
Now, I've got issues with that figure there. Big issues. I have said all along in this debate, and I've said it before, long before COVID and while I was working, when we were seeing the amount of fuel that was going on an airplane, and I would take off in a Boeing 737, a short-haul small aircraft, to go from Brisbane to Perth, and en route I'd leave about 12 tons of kerosene in the sky. I'd land 12 ton lighter than when I took off. And it used to perturb me because all that stuff can't be good. Because when you burn fuel, kerosene or whatever, the exhaust has particulates in it, which can be dangerous. And when you see so many airplanes, about 140 plus thousand flights a day, and they're all burning between 2.5 ton and 12 ton an hour, who knows, whatever, en route to wherever they're going, that's millions of barrels of aviation fuel. And what really...
And this man has burned 200 million pounds of kerosene just in the plane that he flew. Just his flights. That's mind fucking boggling.
It bugged me about aviation is it all became too cheap. Some people would pay more for a cab to the airport or park their car at the airport than they would for the airfare. And that meant that flights were fully booked and going flat out everywhere. Aircraft manufacturers were building more aircraft, and there were a lot more flights that were increasing about 4 or 5% every year. And people were traveling for no real reason. They'd wake up on a Saturday morning. What do you want to do today? Oh, we could go to the beach. Oh, never mind. Let's fly to Melbourne and watch the footy. I mean, it's bizarre and it's absurd, and it's a waste of resources. I've always felt that. So as you'll see when you watch the video presented to Del Bigtree with Jim Lee, you will see that this is a really big issue, the amount of fuel we're burning, the pollutants we're putting in the atmosphere, which contain aluminium and strontium and all these other chemicals that other geoengineering people are talking about. This is what it's all about. This is the atmosphere surrounding planet Earth. You can see it swirling and moving up and down, round and about. It's coming up against low pressure systems, high pressure systems. A weather mass moves over a mountain range. It lifts orographically, cools down rapidly, dumps rain and snow. This is the weather system that surrounds planet Earth. It's the envelope we live in. And if you think about it from this perspective...
Well, he just spoke about how cheap flights are. Peep this. And this is why I go to... This is what the problem is. My wife said this.
The arts student flies twice a week from Calgary to Vancouver, saving big bucks on rent.
I need to pay like $2,500 for the rent. I don't feel that is viable.
He pays roughly $150 per round trip flight twice a week, about $1,200 per month total. That's half the average rent for a one-bedroom in the city.
I thought, why don't I just stay at Calgary and then just fly here, 1 hour flight.
If it is cheaper to buy multiple airline tickets a month versus pay rent, you may want to rethink who you vote for. Just a life tip.
Bruh. That's the problem. That is exactly the problem. My wife sent me this while I was at work. And I said, baby, thank you so much. You the best. I'm gonna drop this one in chat for everybody, just as a special. I told you so. This is the freaking problem. When this dude can pay $150 for a flight and it's cheaper than him renting a house, that's the problem. That's why there's so many flights. That's why there's so many clouds. That's why there's so much poison in the sky. And nobody wants to talk about that. They want to talk about The goddamn Illuminati with their secret government programs. I'm telling you, sons of bitches, that this Jim Lee shill over here. He's just trying to lead you down the dark side. But the dark side, baby, we're coming at him with the light. And the light is the truth. And the truth is, it's in the fucking jet fuel, people. It's in the jet fuel. It's in the jet fuel. Proof that the evidence is undeniable. There's that, and there's,
like the ocean is fluid. So just imagine.
I can't play too much more of this because I've already gone too long. I want to get to this part where he actually shows a comparison, but this is like 30 freaking minutes. So you guys watch it. I'm gonna drop it in chat. It is in details. Watch his presentation. Leave him a comment. Tell him that Jim Lee sent you. I would greatly appreciate that. Say what's up to Hoodie. And be sure to tune in when we do this thing tomorrow, live up on the Facebook, and it'll be on Graham Hood, former pilot. Graham Hood, former pilot. Whenever we do, I don't know if he's going to do it live or not, but tomorrow at 7 p.m. is when I'm going to be recording with him. And we're going to just have a frank conversation about it. I think it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. In the meantime, thank you guys for hanging out with me on another Sunday. I really wanted to write up something about, this Tennessee chemtrail ban. I got pressed for time. We had a family event today too. So, and I already stayed up till like 3:00 yesterday working on a website for a silver group that Dominic's a part of. So I've been hella busy, just hella busy. But I did get the David Key thing written up on there. If you guys haven't subscribed to ClimateViewer.substack.com, you can do that by going to connect.climateviewer.com. There's a link on the page where you can sign up via email. All of the articles, all the latest news that I'm writing will get delivered directly to your inbox. And be sure to also join the Telegram chat. The link to the Telegram chat is now on there. I made sure to update that. We have a great chat. It's been, honestly, I am really surprised by how civil and smart the people that have been joining my Telegram chat are. I've been blown away by them, and they've been dropping great links. Toyashi, I think that's your Toyashi. Thank you, Jim. Never been a Dane fan. Guys, I just want to get this straight. I don't want people not to be a Dane fan. Honestly, I don't, the pettiness, I like to be antagonistic. I like, I like to have a good fight. Okay. I'd much rather debate Dane again. I debated him in 2014. He threatened the guy that recorded it, with a lawsuit if he released it. I'll leave it at that. But I would love to have a friendly debate with him and really get to the bottom of this. And unlike Hoodie, there's not going to be any talking over me. There's not going to be any shutting me down. But this isn't about, a dick measuring contest or anything, or who's more right than the other, who's the best activist out there. I think we all have the same common goal, and that's to stop people blocking out the damn sun. And though I disagree with a lot of things that he has to say, I don't hate the man. Sometimes I do feel that way. And then I have to go back to, God, please grant me the ability to control my anger and my frustration and recognize that people are fallible and make mistakes. And some people just can't learn. You know what I mean? Some people are so involved in their own bullshit that they refuse to hear anything else. And that too, could be the case. I've tried to make peace with Dane 100 times. I think we're way past that at this point, but at the same time, I don't hate the man. I hate the ideas. So with that being said, guys, I love you, mean it. It's too late for me to go on any longer, and use this information. Watch what Hoodie's got to say. Watch his presentation. I think you'll find it eye-opening. I don't want to take it all away from him. I want you guys to go over there and see it. So go over to Graham Hood's Facebook page, watch the video, and then listen to our conversation. I don't even know how it's going to go, so we'll see. But keep an open mind, because the day we all agree is the day we could all be wrong. I could be wrong right now, but we'll find out. Time will tell. So far, every year, I just get proved more right and righter, brothers and sisters. You guys have a wonderful week. Sharing is caring. Please share the video. Please support my work. And remember to attack ideas, not people. Love you, mean it.
Kids are impressionable. That's why here at this station, we watch the programs and commercials your child watches carefully. He may see bad guys, but not in the role of heroes. And he'll learn that crime doesn't pay. Because your child's welfare is our concern, too. That's part of our code.
Better than anything you can get without a prescription. Anything. It's the best.
If this video resonates with you, leave me a comment because I love hearing from y'all. First time here, be sure to subscribe and click the bell. Yeah! Remember, it would be impossible for me to do this without your support, so please join my Patreon or buy me a coffee on PayPal. And always, attack ideas, not people.